BB851, turn right, heading 180. 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 27.
A shortage of pilots is a genuine ongoing problem within the aviation industry. However, it very quickly falls under the radar, with discussions more centering here, and even in general discussions around the current status, and in addition to that, the profitability of an airline, especially as we emerge from the pandemic, which hurt airlines a la plenty, causing many their darkest days. The shortage of pilots, naturally, is by no means a welcomed sight and has implications far more remarkable than initially expected. For American Airlines, during an investor call, the CEO noted just how greatly the pilot shortage is impacting them respectively, and how this summer they'll be, instead of flying their full fleet of aircraft, being forced into grounding close to 100 total units. As you can probably imagine, this being an essential summer of operations for the airline, being forced to ground specific aircraft, it's potentially a worst case scenario for them. 100 total aircraft there, or around abouts, that fly on regional operations will be parked this upcoming summer, according to the Chief Executive Officer, meaning naturally because of this, their regional operations will be significantly impacted across the coming months. Worse still for the airline in question, being struck by the lack of pilots, they're also seeing record demand and customers consistently booking new tickets on a scale that they've not seen in years. This is even with the various rising cost of living prices. People still do want to fly. Now, as dumb as it might sound, airlines like American Airlines do not actually have the resources to match this demand. Therefore, they can't fully grab a hold of it like they once were able to. From rising costs in fuel to labour shortages also attributed to the offloading of employees during the pandemic. It's become a worst-case scenario for many airlines, not just being American Airlines. The removal of aircraft on regional operations means that cities with smaller populations that do rely on these typically frequent services are now feeling the pressure, as well, with an overall reduced service this coming summer. Economically bringing downsides to these locations just as much as American Airlines faces their own difficulties thanks to the lack of pilots that are readily available to operate services on these aircraft. With the focus for this video being centered around that of American Airlines, it would definitely be naive to note simply that they are the only airline in the global aviation industry that are facing difficulties. From the private sector to the commercial sector, it's an industry-wide problem, and securing solutions to fix this problem is also becoming increasingly more brutal to find. This is something I have extensively discussed in recent interviews on the DJ's Aviation podcasts with executives within the aviation industry, and I think it's definitely an insightful listen and great to learn a little bit more from the perspective of an executive that works for an aviation company. Despite the pilot shortage being a global-wide problem, some airlines are of course struggling more than others without a shadow of a doubt and being forced to ground, say 100 total units, which of course for today's video and the focus is American Airlines, a major player within the US domestic and international scene. Even with that, they have a huge focus on their regional operations. Now, if you have any thoughts on the global-wide pilot shortage and the implications it is having on a major player American Airlines, you can indeed let me know down below in the comments. Do subscribe if you are new, and thanks for tuning in.